Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. If you haven't subscribed, check out that number up there and then make sure that you're added to it. Right, let's get down to business. Celtic are starting to finally make some inroads on incoming player in the transfer market, which we'll all be glad about. Now, we're going to talk about him in a minute, but the first one we need to talk about is the fact that Gustav Lagerbielke and his loan move to the Italian club is hit a bit of a bumpy road. There's an valuation gap on the loan fee that Celtic want to what the Serie A club suggests that he is actually worth. So they've asked Celtic to lower their asking price for the loan fee, which will be an interesting one. Celtic did buy him for around about 3 million, so I wonder how much they're asking for a loan fee for the player. We'll see what happens with that one over the next couple of days. Celtic are obviously wanting the guy loaned out to get some game time and some more experience by the looks of it, or maybe even try and sell him on. I don't know. We don't know exactly what's going on, but it looks like Brendan Rodgers does want him out to get some game time. Benji Siegrist, that one seems to have come to a halt with Sturm Graz. I'm going to get to the incoming player in just a moment. Socceroo player Marco Tilio has been talking to the Western Australia newspaper, and he's been talking about his time at Celtic so far. Before he left Melbourne City, he was a big fish in a small pond, he said. And then I went to Scotland. He said he didn't realise how thumping the landing would be in Scotland. Tilio has arrived at Scotland to play for Celtic, and he's played only 27 minutes. But he's been selected for the Asia Cup, and he hopes that that will change his fortune at Celtic. Also, obviously, I went to the club, he said, with an injury. I've been back for 4 months now and fully training, fully fit. I probably feel physically better than I've ever felt in my career. He says that is the one thing about going to Celtic. It has helped improve my fitness. He's relished being in the deep end at Celtic. He says the only thing that I need to improve on is being an all-round player. He says, but hopefully I can do that. Hopefully I can get game time and whatever it looks like, then we'll see what happens. With the Asia squad extended to 26 players, the Socceroos coach Graham Arnold had to make room for the player, and they felt it was good to bring him in. It'll be interesting to see how he does if he gets any game time at the Asia Cup, but let's get to the big one. Obviously, Celtic have made a move to bring in Rapid Vienna winger, and I'm going to talk about his stats in a minute. Nico Kühn, and the 24-year-old German player, has been brought in to bolster the attacking lineup at Celtic. Now, when you look at him, he can play in a number of positions. He can play on the right wing, he can play on the left wing, and he can also play as a centre forward. So he's a bit like Dyson Maeda, and that the Dyson Maeda plays as a centre forward for Japan, and he can play on both wings. So he is a versatile player that we'll look to be bringing in. It does fit what Brendan Rodgers is trying to do in the areas that he's trying to cover. Will it help Celtic over the next couple of months? Well, only time will tell. When you look at his career, he is only valued at around about 1.5 million, so it'll be interesting to see what Celtic can get him at. But he has won some things at youth level. He was at FC Bayern under 21. He was at RB Leipzig, also Hanover. He started off at St. Pauli and ended up at Rapid Vienna for a fee of around about 500,000 euros. So it'll be interesting to see if Celtic can get this one over the line. It looks like one that's definitely going to happen. The player that was born on the first, he's actually got quite a long contract. Now, he's got 2 years on his contract. So they won't be hard to deal with in that respect. I mean, I've seen some of the news out there that Celtic were going to go for players that had 4 or 5 years on their contract. It's never the way that Celtic do it. Celtic never go after players that have any longer than 2 years maximum on their contract, so that they can get them for the least amount of money possible. Going forward, he is a right winger. He's a left footer, which is always good, and it'll be interesting to see where he fits in the field of play at Celtic. Will Celtic play him as an out-and-out striker, which he can play? He can play as a centre forward. So will he be back up to Kyogo and also be able to cover the wing positions? Tell me what you think in the comments. With the fact that Celtic have made an official bid, it'll just be it's just going to be a waiting game now to see what we can get him, if we can get him in the door. Anyway, tell me what you think about that in the comments section of this morning's video. Now, as Celtic look to bring in some players, and there's one man, Stephen McGowan, who is it looks like he's adamant that he's trying to sell Liel Abada from Celtic without Celtic even being aware of it. He did take to, and I'm going to say it, he took to the Daily Mail and put out an article saying that the Israel winger is stuck in an impossible situation amid these countries' war with Hamas. This is something that's going on for months now, and everyone knows that. I mean, this is just pure speculation, and you know, they do say there's no smoke without fire, but this guy keeps on pumping out content and through the Daily Mail suggesting that he needs to leave Celtic before the window closes, which is absolute nonsense. The player is going absolutely nowhere. He's only trying to get clicks. He said, like the former Celtic player Neil Bitton branded the Green Brigade brainwashed and biased, and he's bringing up a lot of old stuff from a few months back that is completely nonsensical, if you ask me just now. It is just pure mischief making in the media, and what would you expect from a paper like the Daily Mail? Anyway, it goes on to say that after the 7th of October, Abada met with Parkhead directors who promised to take the matter seriously. Look, he didn't meet with the Parkhead directors. He went out for lunch with Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers openly spoke about it. So anyway, but he does go on with this lengthy article, say that he needs to leave Celtic now. But since he only signed a new contract in the beginning of this season, it's all the ball's in Celtic's court as far as I'm concerned. He will not be sold at this window, and I'm going to put my neck out there and I'm saying that the player will not be sold during the summer either. He's a player that Celtic absolutely need to be at their best and going into the Champions. I mean, why would they sell him? I mean, who's going to come in and buy him? Tell me that, because there was no bids came in for him at the summer. You know, there might be bids come in for him to go back to Israel, but does he really want to do that as a player? Does he see that as his future? I don't think so. He wants to get to the highest level he can in European football, and going back to play his football in Israel would be a backward step for Liel Abada. Tell me what you think in the comments, because there's no, unless the likes of Ange Postecoglou is going to come in and take him down south, but that is never going to happen until he proves himself at the highest level in the Champions League. Anyway, with that being said, that's about all the news that is kicking around this morning. Just a double check. Yep, big Rocky, second half of the season. There's a few other headlines there, but it's nothing sort of concrete at the moment. The big news of the day, obviously, is Celtic have made an offer for a German winger. We've done not too bad with German players in the past at Celtic. In the comments, tell me one of the last German players, this is going back a good few years, who done pretty well at Celtic. And then he played with some fantastic players at his time. And on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to